Hi there. This is Sean Logue. This is my Jing for week 2 of the XML programming class with Ed Cawthorn at Manchester Community College. This is for the spring 2019. This week, you asked us to download our own code editor and then to create, or rather, I guess, sort of translate The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe into a XML document. So my goal in going through this is, I guess, just showing you sort of a rough draft that I made, or I guess the first version of the Raven as an XML document using this code editor called Code Browser. It seems to work pretty well. I don't know, I'm sure I don't have the full grasp of it, but I did spend quite a lot of time just going through it and making sure that I sort of understood it as well as possible. Let's see here. So, let's see. Oh, wow. I don't know how it happened, but oh, okay, here it is. Here we go. I didn't know how to nest things properly, or sorry, not nest things. This code editor features a thing where you can sort of fold things in sections. I think it might be called wrap. Sort of like the other code editor that you showed us, the Notepad one. This can do that as well. I didn't understand how to do that before, so I was just using Enter and Tab to to make it happen. So let's see. Oh, and while we're at it, we can see that I clearly forgot something in my finished version. I'm glad I spotted that. The declaration. I believe I actually sort of stole this documentation from that book that you mentioned, the chapter 3 or whatever. So that's where that's from. Because I figured I'm actually not entirely certain yet how to open this as an XML document because it can be used for other things as well. Um, so I didn't necessarily plan on opening it in that style. So that's why I haven't paid much attention to that. So my first version, I actually did edit it since. So I had literature, then poems as the child, then title as the child of that. And then I had other things such as the author, publication date, language, words, and then I divided it into a couple sections, which you'll see in a second. But I did refine it. I believe I mentioned in my wiki how I was not certain of exactly what I should make an attribute, and I think that's why I sort of just took it out entirely on that one. For this here, as you can see, we have this thing I just added, the declaration. Then we have the root element, literature, which I felt like was a pretty good, how would you say, pretty good root element and pretty good base to expand from, because maybe we'll add a book in the future or another poem or something like that. Maybe it would be sort of like a catalog. So this is literature, and then this would follow, I guess, because everything would be nested within literature. Um, so if I double click that, we have poems. So in the overall catalog of literature, we would have poems, and then, like I said, books or magazine articles or something like that. Um, we double click here, we have the Raven because that's our only poem that we have so far. This up here shows that the parent element, yeah, root element is literature, then the child of that is poems, then, and those are the two parents of the Raven. Um, so if we go within this, we have a couple different ones. So we have author, Edgar Allan Poe, and then we have, let's see, language, English, publication date, January 29th, 1845. Then we have words. I don't know if that's the correct term for a poem or if it would be lyrics, but I used words. Um, and then there's probably a more precise way to do the attribute. Like I said, that's something that I'm not super comfortable with. But again, I sort of just copied the book structure and making it so that I can at least tell that this is supposed to be the attribute, even if it's not the precise way to use this document as an XML document. So that basically just says that this is the poetic structure. So I suppose I could have done that in a different way, but I felt like this was particular to the words, and I didn't think that it was worth making a child element out of. So that's why I thought it might be all right as an attribute. So the first bit, tapping. So I noticed that, like, again, I'm not super familiar with poetry, but let's call this the first paragraph. I noticed that there were 18 paragraphs. Um, so I roughly divided the poem into three categories. The first was the tapping, where he seems to investigate and consider the tapping. The second, if I back up, seems to be I called it acquaintance because this is him still. Oh no, this is this beginning paragraph is where he first sees the raven and begins speaking to it. Um, and this is where the raven says nevermore, and he sort of considers that it's saying nevermore. And then the conclusion where he sort of really gets into the depths of despair. I figured conclusion was probably the best way to say that. Though I could always change the name to despair. That's probably what I would do if I edited it more. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Can't think of anything else that I would want to add here, and I've already done 6 minutes. You don't need to hear me talk more. So thank you very much, and have a good one.